I want to share one of the things that has helped me as I come out of burnout and a very long, deep healing, like that really messy midlife portal. And it's not an on off switch. I was definitely off for a lot of years. And there's a few things that have helped me. I wish that you wake up one day and it's like, oh, midlife zest is here. But a lot of those elements that energize my life, that energize my business and bank account, had to be put on the back burners. I had to circle my wagons. I had to I had smaller capacity, so I had to do less, which means I had to circle my wagons and say no to a lot more, both out in the world, but also in my inner psyche. And as I come back, one of my community members asked a question, and I totally get it, but asked a question about the parts that are like, I'm worried about the world. And she called them Eeyore parts, which I love because I grew up loving Eeyore and really resonating because I just felt like Eeyore, like I'm a melancholy girl. And, healing and compassion don't have to be totally separate from, the old me would have called them masculine, but these more driven, directional data, things that need to be done. And when we are small business owners, so this is the other thing. I'm a small business owner, and my business really suffered financially under the last 3 or 4 years for many reasons. And it is time. It is time for me to either get out of business or get back to. And for a while, that felt like pressure. That felt like internalized toxicity and shame, right? And shame and discouragement are, they come up. But there is a space like where I've had to ask the shame, like, not bypassing any of these parts. So this is from an internal family systems lens, not bypassing any of these parts, but doing a lot more compartmentalizing, which I know is often, my brain is a bottom up thinker and thinks all the things, but I've had to systematize it. Like, this is the time to do parts work. Yes, parts come up, but I can't have my Eeyore parts or a 3-year-old girl running my business. And so I know how to take care of those parts, but then when I would come in here in this place to run my business, it was like, there's nothing there. So I had to invite back in my challenge, my parts that love a challenge, my parts that love to go after something. I also had to ask a lot of my social justice parts. Does this mean I don't care about what's going on in Gaza, that I don't care what's going on with fascism in the United States? No, I absolutely care. And I am no help to those when I am a broke-ass mofo. I personally am not. Somebody else might be able to leverage their life in a way, but I have responsibilities that I have agreed to in my partnership and in my life, and for my future, if there is a future. And so there is a little bit of what I'm calling soft hustle, compassionate business. And here's one of the things about business owners. And I know this is really hard for many of us. Many of us tend to conflate our identity with business. Listen, I want business to be easy, but it's business, which by definition means it's not. Business gives us, so if you think about this, the brain actually loves challenge. The brain loves challenge. So I had to bring back on some of those parts, and I didn't do it with a light switch. I did it by, at first, taking a moment to remember, oh yeah, I remember when my coach Tara in 2020, before COVID, said, you're one of the most credible coaches I know. Own your credibility and be in your credibility. And that woke something up in me. And then a few months later, she was like, if you want a pool, figure out how to get the pool. And so I did. It was like having something to go after. And I remembered those. And then I had a morning where I was remembering being an athlete in in high school and being a competitor and, that kind of stuff. And none of it was toxic, right? Like there's ways to get our drive and our, I'm using hustle on purpose. I'm not talking about toxic hustle, but there is a way to get our due on without screwing up our inner system. Anyways, I had to invite those parts back in and reactivate the that little cluster of neurotransmitters in my brain has been asleep for a long time. It's like going back to boot camp, or actually, right when I was in high school and we would go to, before school started and before basketball practice started, we would go to like a boot camp or a 2-a-days kind of thing, right? Where you're getting your muscles going again. It's not really fun, but it's like, oh, I'm awake, I'm alive. And so that takes a little bit of time. And so I will still care for the parts of me that, have sad feelings. They are not being shoved in a closet. And those parts, I set aside specific time to work with them, and then I ask them to give me space, because as an adult, as a wise self-leader, I have things to take care of that I'm responsible for. And listen, I spend plenty of time on the couch and in the bed moping, and I'm just having to make time. I don't know if time is not the right word, but I'm having to allow these things to integrate with one another instead of either my hustle taking over or my sad parts. So it does require, so add ADD and autism on top of this. It does require, and it's very interesting because in my brain, I can't go back to what worked before. But what I can do is look at all the tools that I have now, all the tools that I have added, some of the elements of past me, plus the elements of current me, and that feels like hope and magic.